Here, everyone. It's Gloria with Glory Be Resale, and I am here to do a what sold on eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy. And this is for the week of June 8th to the 14th. The first thing that sold for me over on eBay was this vintage 1980s white porcelain cat laying on a rainbow rug, and this was signed Andrea West. And this sold for $29. Cost to me on it was $3.99. Next item to sell over on eBay was this vintage wood-covered orange ceramic stoneware salt box wall hanging. And this sold for $45, and the cost to me on it was $8. And the last thing already here on eBay was this Royal baking powder can, this vintage can, sold for $14.84, and the cost to me on it was $1. Over on Poshmark, we had this vintage chalkware Happy Dog wall hanging key hook, and this sold for $20, and the cost to me on this was $5. And the last thing to sell on Poshmark was this Polari 100% genuine yellow leather belt. This sold for $21. Cost to me was $2.99. Now over to Etsy. And the first thing to sell on Etsy was this vintage tulip punch copper napkin holder. And this sold for $21, and the cost to me on it was $3. Next item to sell was this vintage Hollywood Regency Dixie cup dispenser, a gold medal, and this sold for $49. And I put the cost to me on it as 0. This was something I bought a while ago from eBay. I used it for at least 5 years. And then I just resold it for $49. And if you wouldn't mind giving a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And the next thing to sell was this rustic metal 6 bottle wine rack with a wooden top handle there. And this sold for $44, and the cost to me on it was $1.49. Next item to sell was this vintage wall shelf, and this sold for the rustic white wall shelf. It was painted. This sold for $78, and the cost to me was $12.50. Next item to sell was this vintage ceramic gold salt and pepper shaker, floral etched, and this sold for $27. Cost to me on them was $4. Next item was this mixing spoon, bamboo with pine needles, and strainer basket, and this sold for $15. Cost to me on it was $1.50. Next item to sell was this vintage wrought iron 5-arm candelabra, rustic black candle holder. This sold for $29. Cost to me on it was $3.50. Next item to sell was this vintage reclaimed wood mirror medicine cabinet, and this sold for $239, and the cost to me on it was $28. Next item to sell was this vintage gold brass small horse candle holder, and these sold for $29. Pretty quick turnover. I paid $5 for these. Next item was another one of these wood shelves. I had bought them at the same time, 2 for $25, so second one sold for $78, cost me $12.50. And both of those, I have to say, sold very quickly too. So that was a nice pickup. Next item was this vintage beach nautical fishing lighthouse driftwood art, and this sold for $58, and the cost to me on it was $3.99. And that is everything that sold for me from the week of June 8th to June 14th. Thank goodness for Etsy because eBay and Poshmark were horrible. And that seems, eBay definitely seems pretty consistent on being horrible. I may have to give in and pay extra. I don't know. It just frustrates me that I have to pay for a store, I have to pay for fees and a piece of the thing, and then they want more money on top of that. So, but that seems to be what they're all doing at this point. So we'll have to see. I hope your sales are good and good luck with the summer sales. I know it gets a lot of times it gets slower and harder for people to sell. And I will see you next time. Thanks and bye.